working to connect a region of over 600 mil bridges between our lands.
Hello and welcome to ASEAN in Focus. I'm Maricar Velasco.
Delivering to you the latest news in and around the ASEAN region, I'm Mariel Soriano.
On today's headlines, the Philippine Red Cross reaffirms its commitment to continue its life-saving operations in areas affected by Typhoon Ompong.
Campaigning for Indonesia's presidential election in April kicked off.
The European Parliament is moving to ban the use of palm oil in biofuels, while British grocer Iceland has announced it will stop using the commodity over concerns that it causes widespread environmental destruction. Typhoon Paeng, international name Trami, intensifies but is still far away and will not directly affect the country. Pag-asa said as of 4 a.m. today, Paeng was last observed at 1,100 kilometers east of Tuguegarao City, Cagayan. Its wind intensity is packing a maximum of 170 kilometers per hour, gustiness of up to 210 kilometers per hour, and moving west at 20 kilometers per hour. Pag-asa said Paeng might affect extreme northern Luzon from Batanes to Babuyan group of islands by Friday, September 28. Metro Manila and the rest of the country will have partly cloudy to cloudy skies with isolated rain showers caused by localized thunderstorm.
The Philippine Red Cross, or PRC, reaffirms its commitment to continue its life-saving operations in areas affected by Typhoon Ompong or Typhoon Mangkhut, as it provided shelter assistance and basic household items to hundreds of families in Bagao and Gataran on Sunday. Chairman Richard Gordon, who led the consecutive activities at San Vicente Elementary School in Gataran and at Vita Grande Elementary School in Bagao, he said PRC works to address primary concerns after disasters, including damages in shelter and basic household items. A total of 233 households from Barangay Vita Grande and 160 households from Barangay Mocag in the municipality of Bagao will now be able to repair their houses after being provided with roofing materials, as well as nails, sealant, hammer, and hand saw. Meanwhile, 355 families from Barangay San Vicente in Gataran received basic household items consisting of blankets, plastic mats, mosquito nets, jerry cans, hygiene kits, and tarpaulin mats. Gordon added that PRC continues to its assessments to determine further needs in the areas, such as livelihood support. The storm struck just before the fall harvest, and it affected more than 60% rice crops and 90 to 100% of corn. Prior to the shelter kits and household items distributions, PRC has established water distribution points at Barangay Centro Poblacion and Centro Norte in Sur, in Gataran, and Centro East and West in STA or Santa Teresita, conducted rescue and clearing operations as well as psychosocial support and distribution of hot meals and non-food items in Santa Margarita, Bagao. Staff and volunteers also helped locate missing family members in Santa Margarita and conducted psychosocial support at Bagao District Hospital.
Vietnam announced a state funeral and 2 days of national mourning for President Tran Dai Quang, who died Friday, aged 61. Flags will be flown at half-mast and entertainment venues shut for 2 days starting September 26, when Quang's body will lie in state in Hanoi before being buried in his hometown in Ny Binh province the next day. Condolences have poured in from across geopolitical divides, with Cuba announcing its own mourning period and U.S. President Donald Trump calling him a great friend of the United States in a statement Friday. The leaders of Cambodia and China also sent tributes, even though Quang's time in office since 2016 was marked by tensions with Beijing over disputed waterways in the South China Sea. The cause of the death was identified in state media as rare virus, though no further details were provided. Vice President Dang Ngoc Thin will take over as head of state, the first female in the position, until a replacement is decided by lawmakers at an unspecified date. Quang, a former police chief and Communist Party stalwart, spent more than 4 decades as an intelligence official and most recently threw his weight behind a crackdown on dissent and corruption, which critics say was aimed at rivals. Though he was a member of the powerful Politburo, his role was largely ceremonial, hosting world leaders and diplomatic summits and functions intended to boost Vietnam's profile on the international stage. Most notably, he greeted Trump and Russia's Vladimir Putin at an APEC gathering in Da Nang in November.
Malacanang extended condolences to the Vietnamese people over the death of their president, Tran Dai Quang. The palace offers its deepest condolences to the government and people of Vietnam on the demise of President Tran Dai Quang, said presidential spokesperson Harry Roque in a press statement. Roque also said President Duterte recalled with fondness the warmth and the hospitality extended by the Vietnam president during his first official visit to Vietnam in 2016 and Vietnam's hosting of the APEC summit in 2017. Quang died on Friday after a serious illness in a military hospital in Hanoi. Before becoming president in 2016, Quang was the Minister of Public Security.
Campaigning for Indonesia's presidential election in April kicked off Sunday, pitting incumbent Joko Widodo against a former military general in the race to lead the world's third biggest democracy. Opinion polls show Widodo, whose down-to-earth style and ambitious infrastructure drive have made him popular with many Indonesians, well ahead of his main challenger Prabowo Subianto. But his bid for a second term is facing headwinds over his economic record, with the Indonesian rupiah sitting at 2 decades low and fears of a fake news campaign intended to disrupt his re-election. Some 186 million voters in the world's largest Muslim-majority country are expected to go to the polls on April 17 in an election which will also decide members of national and local parliaments. Both leaders, dressed in traditional Indonesian folk costumes, attended an official campaign launch in central Jakarta Sunday morning, in which they pledged to run a peaceful contest free from hoaxes and the politicization of ethnicity and religion. Many Indonesians will be keen to avoid a repeat of the Jakarta gubernatorial elections in 2017, which were marked by massive street demonstrations led by hardline Muslims opposed to the capital's former governor, who is ethnic Chinese and a Christian. Analysts say campaigning is likely to focus on the economy, inequality, identity politics, and rising intolerance across the sprawling Southeast Asian archipelago. Widodo, who is popularly known as Jokowi, surprised many Indonesians in August by choosing to run alongside conservative Islamic Salerik Maruf Amin.
Saling menghina, saling mencemooh, saling menjelekkan, karena itu bukan etika dan nilai-nilai yang kita anut, yaitu nilai-nilai keindonesiaan.
Amin, 75, is chairman of the country's top Islamic authority, the Indonesian Ulema Council, which issues fatwas and is known for his disparaging views towards certain minorities. Prabowo, who lost to Widodo in 2014, was a top military figure in the chaotic months before dictator Suharto was toppled by student protests in 1998. Following the strongman's downfall, he admitted ordering the abduction of democracy activists and was discharged from the military.
Selalu bersikap tenang, bersikap tidak emosional, menahan diri. Marilah kita menyongsong proses demokrasi ini dengan baik, dengan tenang.
Sebagai warga negara Indonesia, pengennya sih pesta demokrasi ini berjalan dengan lancar, aman, tertib. Jadi tidak ada saling menjatuhkan antar kedua kubu pasangan.
Mudah-mudahan aman, jangan sampai terjadi kerusuhan. Intinya itu aja, jangan sampai ada kerusuhan. Damai, demokratis dalam pemilihan ini. Jangan sampai terjadi politik uang. Itu yang paling dinanti-nanti warga negara Indonesia.
The European Parliament is moving to ban the use of palm oil in biofuels, while British grocer Iceland has announced it will stop using the commodity over concerns that it causes widespread environmental destruction. Losing the key EU market worries millions of small farmers in Indonesia and Malaysia, the world's top two producers, as prices drop for the widely consumed oil found in everything from biscuits to sweets to cosmetics to vehicle gas tanks. Indonesian palm oil farmer Kawal Surbakti says his livelihood is under attack, but the threat is not from insects or hungry orangutans eating his prized crop.
Banyak sekali lah artinya kerugiannya. Ruginya itu tadi, di mana selama ini bisa kita menyimpan, yang pasti sekarang ini udah nggak bisa menyimpan gitu. Kadang-kadang bisa nggak mencukupi gitu. Ya mau tidak mau, kami juga harus memang berpikir beralih ke tanaman yang lain. Tapi tentunya kami beralih pun tetap kepada tanaman yang tahunan, tidak lagi tanaman palawija. Karena kalau tanaman palawija sifatnya kan sebentar, itu tidak akan mengangkat taraf hidup petani kalau palawija saja yang ditanamkan. Maka kami mengharapkan ya tadi lah informasi itu maunya sama kami petani begitu penting, yang pasti informasi biar kami bisa artinya beralih kemana arah tanaman kami.
Across the Malacca Strait in Malaysia, grower Muhammad Isa Mansor issued a dire prediction as he plucked reddish-orange fruits from his trees.
In the event the effort by European Union might cause the price to go down or even disappear, I have lost my income and I have lost my ability to actually support my family. And this goes with other people as well in this village.
Market depend, our market, oil palm market, depend on European, Asian like China and India, and some other Middle East country. But the European starting campaign about banning oil palm affect the price of oil palm, the price of oil palm. So it might kill our livelihood because most of the smallholders in Malaysia depend on oil palm.
Europe is one of the world's biggest palm oil consumers, along with India and China. About half of the palm oil used last year in Europe was for biofuels that ended up in gas tanks, according to environmentalists. Indonesia and Malaysia have threatened retaliatory sanctions on European products over the proposed palm oil ban, which calls for a complete phase-out from biofuels by 2030. The legislation is awaiting a final vote and member state approval.
Pop 2018, pasok sa top 30 semi-finalist ang dalawang entry ng Pinas FM DJ at Letters and Music host na si Aiki. At kailangan niya ang ating suporta. Iboto ang dalawa niyang entry para makapasok sa top 10 ng PhilPop 2018. Ang Oka, interpreted by Tyro Alfaro and Ike himself. To vote, just text VOTE, space, NK22 and send it to 8933. At ang Promissory Note, interpreted by Yumi Laksamana. To vote, just text VOTE, space, NK25 and send it to 8933. Voting is until October 12, 2018 at 11:59 p.m. only. Vote now at ating iparamdam ang hashtag Pinoy Music Power.
Despite recent economic headwinds experienced by the economy, online hiring in the Philippines increased 18% on the back of robust online hiring activities in retail, health, and logistics, according to Monster.com. In a statement on Wednesday, Monster.com said July was a good month for retail, where online hiring grew 39%, healthcare 33%, and logistics 31%. The data was based on the Monster Employment Index, which is a gauge of online job posting activities compiled monthly by Monster.com.
With its continuous growth over the past 10 years, ASEAN has become an important market for Vietnamese seafood, and the prospect of $1 billion worth of yearly seafood export revenue is reachable. According to the Vietnam Association of Seafood Exporters and Producers, Vietnam's seafood export turnover to ASEAN hit $612 million in 2017, up from only $66 million in 1998. Vietnamese fishery products have been shipped to all other ASEAN countries, with top items being saltwater fish, fish, cuttlefish, and octopus. Seafood trading in ASEAN stands at $20 billion each year and is expected to expand by 3.7% annually in the years to come.
Singapore Airlines said it has stopped accepting lion bones for cargo after the carrier was singled out in a report for transporting the animal parts from South Africa. Campaigners have long called for a ban on the controversial trade in big cat bones, which are sought after for medicine and jewelry in Southeast Asia. Singapore Airlines was the sole carrier importing lion bones from South Africa to Southeast Asia last year. This, according to a report released in July by the nonprofit EMS Foundation and animal rights group Ban Animal Trading. At least 800 lion skeletons had been exported with the blessing of the South African government in 2017, the report said, making it the world's largest exporter of lion bones. The airline told media it had stopped accepting lion bones as cargo. However, it did not say when the policy had come into effect. EMS Foundation Director Michelle Pickover said her organization had sent the report to the airline and the quote appealed to them to immediately stop its involvement in this terrible trade. Lion bones and other body parts are highly sought after in parts of Southeast Asia, particularly Laos, Thailand, and Vietnam, for use in jewelry and for their supposed medicinal properties.
Tongo, your ABC Las Vegas correspondent, reminding you that we should view every day as a new day. We should not let the troubles of the past hinder us in moving forward in life. And don't forget to watch Digital Nest on Tuesday and Thursday at 7:30 p.m. only on Net 25. Again, I am Nicole Tongo and I am one with 25.
Landmarks, Linggo, alas 6 hanggang alas 7 ng gabi.
Tataas na naman daw yung presyo ng gasolina.
Basically, ang solar panel, ina-absorb ang sunlight that is turned into electricity.
Tingin niyo po, Gug, kayo po sa mga sir na mapropromote niyo sa buong Pilipinas yung windmill.
Alam mo, nag-umpisa niya, na-obsess kami ni Bongbong pag-aaral dyan. Dahil laging tumitirik yung kuryente dito. I love Focus
5! Welcome back. The EU delegation to the Philippines joined the Manila Bay cleanup on 22nd of September 2018 in Rojas Boulevard, Manila. The European Union has ever since been an advocate for a cleaner environment and litter-free marine resources. European Union Ambassador Franz Jessen said that the delegation's participation in the cleanup is an expression of solidarity of the EU with the Philippines in ensuring that our oceans are rid of plastic waste and other pollutants. The EU delegation collaborated with the Philippine Coast Guard Auxiliary and the International Coastal Cleanup Volunteers, were joined by other staff from the Danish and the French embassies. Ambassador Jessen also said that the European Commission, during the early part of the year, adopted a circular economy action plan to foster a transition to a stronger and more circular economy where resources are used in a more sustainable way. The plan aims to ensure that all plastic packaging on the EU market will be recyclable by 2030, the consumption of single-use plastics significantly reduced, and the intentional use of microplastics restricted. Plastic litter has become a major concern in Asia, including the Philippines, and the EU delegation is currently engaged in a close dialogue with the government on the development of a national strategy for improving plastic waste management and reducing leakages of plastic waste in the marine environment. A regional program is also foreseen for a period of 3 years starting in 2019 to enhance policy dialogue, exchange shared knowledge, and lessons learned from Europe, capacity enhancement, technology transfer, and piloting of solutions for better plastic waste management in the Asian region.
Thailand's junta chief caricatured as cat with a paw raised to rake in money, or his face crossed out by a thick red line. Daring graffiti is cropping up across Bangkok as the city walls become a canvas for rare political scorn. The pioneer of the new wave of street artists is, quote, Headache Stencil, whose spray cans satirize the powerful in the country where free expression has been muted since a 2014 coup. Dubbed Thailand's Banksy, Headache, whose nickname alludes to the pain he hopes to inflict on the mighty, catapulted to fame in January with a piece curing to Junta number 2, Prawit Wongsuwan, who was struggling to explain his collection of undeclared luxury watches. The stencil art showing Prawit's face inside an alarm clock was a jab at the lack of financial transparency by generals who seized power, claiming that only they could save the country from untrammeled graft.
โลกมันลบกันด้วยการค้าโลกมันลบด้วยสมองอ่ะแต่เราดันไปเพิ่มอาวุธแทนที่จะเพิ่มสมองหรือเพิ่มบุคลากรอะไรเงี้ยเนี่ยไองานนิยายไทม์เนี่ยคือหมายความว่าเล่มเนี้ยมันเป็นปักที่ห้ามนำเข้ามาในประเทศก็คือเป็นเหมือนสิ่งต้องห้ามอะพี่แล้วก็เราก็พยายามตั้งคำถามว่าสิ่งที่ไทม์เข้าไปสัมภาษณ์แล้วคุณประยุทธ์ก็ออกสื่อมันเหมือนถึงเป็นการตลาดรูปแบบนึงเนี่ย
When I talked about the fishing industry and labor exploitation, there's not much news at all about that. While it's such a major issue, and we're like, it's something that we really need to fix real quick.
Much like Banksy, the British graffiti artist turned multi-millionaire art auction darling, Herrick's carefully maintained mystique adds to allure of his work. And it has caught the imagination of a country where an increasing number of people are looking to art to dissect the anti-junta angst that lurks below the surface.
And that is the latest news in the Southeast Asian nations. I'm Mariel Soriano.
Stay updated about the ASEAN region. I'm Maricar Velasco. And we are one with 25.